going on?
Woo, welcome back, Shalom.
Part 2 series, Where the Truth Be At TV show. How y'all doing? How are y'all doing? Alright, last week we was just talking about how to recognize demons and fallen angels. This is a very, very in-depth topic. We're going to try to slow it down as much as we can. We're not going to get on the whiteboard or blackboard and start writing for you guys. If you want to become a Patreon or you want to become a shadow and follow our weekly teachings, check below right there. Should be some.
Check below, pre-show.
Yeah. Or just go to thashadoz.com and we'll be right there for you every week or whenever you need consultations or any spiritual advisory. We're there.
These shows are high level with enough information.
Definitely high level.
High level, but enough information to get you asking more questions and to hopefully lead some people onto the right path and save some lives, from Hashem. So, yeah.
Just a recap, though. Like last week, we was talking about how to recognize demons and fallen spirits within people. We did, go over the desire to talk about meaningless things all the time or vanity or trivial things that really it's not going to be much that it's going to mean if it 10 years from now. Talking about how play the fool fell on the floor and you were so angry. This is understandable, but how long is that really going to deter your anger?
Yeah. And what are these things that lead us into these thought processes? How do we get a thought? Why do fallen ones, why do these demons desire to give us thoughts?
Yeah.
Why do they whisper in our ear?
I don't even think we got to that part yet. I was just recapping a little bit, just like we was talking about.
Yeah, no, I was bringing in the subject.
Okay.
Because all that stuff is important. Just like you can recognize it within people, and the people that have it within them, it came from somewhere. They didn't just wake up. Well, a lot of times they didn't just wake up with that spirit on them. Spirits can be transferred. They can be transferred in different type of ways. They can be transferred by people. They can be transferred via people through technology. They can be transferred, just with daily interactions. I know you've probably seen the movie Fallen with Denzel Washington. I took it back, right? When there was a demon within a person, they could just touch you. And he was just possessed by him. Sometimes I don't even like to be close to a person with bad energy because I can feel it.
And just a little recap again from last week, we was talking about the influence of different things that you were saying, Fallen in the movie. There's a ton of other movies out there that influence folks to get that type of demonic transportation from a TV screen, and we call that influencing or influencers who influence us to do anything else. Influencing is a very scary thing when you really break it down. That was one of the topics we spoke about last week, if you guys didn't see that. And, constantly attempting to bring other people down or provoke them to negativity. When you're trying to be on the high frequency of good energy with good spirits, you want to fellowship, you want to speak about something other than the usual, Friday night, Saturday night mumbo jumbo stuff, or how your kids, baby father or baby mother is causing this drama, this family drama. You are always talking about worldly things, and then you have no taste to talk about anything that deals with your relationship with Hashem, then that's an indication that you are not on a good frequency 24/7.
And that's because your desires have been successfully manipulated to be completely off of seeking anything that has to do with Hashem, the Most High. And your desires have become all earthly, all vanity, honestly. Because your child, even when you raise them, you can raise them however you raise them, they're going to grow up to be who they are. And at the end of the day, it's going to be almost like your desires and your effort may But these vanity.
Mm.
Sometimes it will, sometimes it won't. You know? And when that's all you have, and you don't have a relationship with Hashem or the Most High, that will lead you to a lot of other gateways of portals that lead you to different type of spirits. You know?
Yeah. You don't want to go into the gate through the wrong way. That's another way. Don't do that. Don't go to the gate on the parallel, the opposite end, like this picture behind us. And we also touched on how a lot of folks, not all, but a lot, you got leaders, politicians, rabbis, elders, pastors, deacons, and a lot of people from corporate America to the music and entertainment industries. They will take your ideas, your revelations, even sometimes your prophecy from the Most High, because it's not ours, it's the Most High who comes through his vessels. They will take those things, and they will make it for themselves, so they themselves can get the praise. This is egotistical, it's prideful, and the energy that coincides with it is a negative energy, and it's on the negative frequency. It's closer to the medium frequency, so a lot of people may get deceived by it, especially if the folks don't know where the individual that's speaking or posting or sharing or making a video is getting the information from. Then you may not know, but the frequency is closest to the middle before it begins to go in a high frequency, but it's still low because it is deceitful.
And what's the deceit for? That leads us to
selfishness. They only want, what's it called? The praise. They want the praise. They can't say, oh yeah, I saw these guys, named Tha Shadoz. They've been talking about spirits and how it correlates the energies and how it correlates to being on a frequency of some sort. And so I'm going to dig deep into this particular video that I know is going to go viral on YouTube. I'm going to say that no, people want their own selves in the spotlight. And it's not all, it's a large amount of some. These are also different types of spirits and energies that you have to deal with in the world. And these can make the receiver or the one that's being stolen from really standoffish. Now they're going to do a spiritual attack in their mind, which leads us to the third thing, the mind. Fourth thing, the mind.
Yeah, and to really just hammer home on, what are these followers after? What are their agenda? What they're really after is the bodies and the souls of man. That's what they desire, and they will do it through all different type of means to get it. The body, the blood, they want mankind to drink blood. They want mankind minds to be filled with all impurity and things of that nature, because that's what they were birthed out of. The fallen one's children, the giants, and all type of Greek mythology, gods that you want to name them after, they were birthed from a fallen state. And when you're birthed in a fallen state, you're birthed into nothing but chaos and destruction. And that's what these beings crave. So what do? How do they try to get in the mind? We had an episode, I think earlier before, about media, whether it's social, whether it's television, whatever. They want to implant thoughts into our brains, into our minds, to control us, to lead us to a gateway. And that gateway opens a portal for us to go into, and so it can shift our desires.
That portal, that gateway,
to fulfill the desire that they want us to do.
And like I was saying at the last of the original show, the mind, that is an abstract thing. If anyone take a head, even on an animal, you open it up, you're going to see a brain. The brain is the physical, but no one can say they can physically touch, feel, or understand the mind. The mind is the thinking process that we all assume as human beings that we have. Because no one really knows if the next human being has the capability to think. We assume because we speak, we touch, we understand, we comprehend, we display knowledge and wisdom, we understand. But the ones who don't display those things, we automatically assume that they, one, cannot think, or they, two, do not have a mind that's of the level of ours. No, that's not particularly true. Every being, every creature has a mind, because a mind is something that is abstract. It is spiritual. And if you have a spiritual mind, that mind is subjected to spiritual attacks, and is also subjected to energies, and it operates on different frequencies. So in the mind, it starts with the thoughts. We was talking about the thoughts, right?
And that's what they want to do. They want to infiltrate the mind to use the most powerful thing that the mind can create. And what's the most powerful thing the mind can create? Your imagination. They want your imagination, because with your imagination, they can flip it to either be good or bad. To be one with Hashem, or to be one with them. So what do they want to do? They want your imagination to constantly be on evil things, or things that's of the negative frequency. Why? So they can consume you and be in you and lead you to where they want you to go, which is a pawn within their army. Because a lot of these fallen ones, the giants, the ones that were born, now I'm not talking about the original fallen ones from the heavens. I'm talking about the ones that were born from the fallen ones from the heavens, their children. They lost their bodies. And what do they need? They need their bodies to create a what? A war on both sides. They have the spiritual, but they need the physical as well, because they both come into one.
So these giants, they was not reincarnated. No. Reincarnation was not given to them. So that kind of dispels a lot of the Indian mythology from the Babylonian times and before, that our people, a lot of people, was believing.
And one thing I want to touch on that, reincarnation without a conscious understanding of what you were or is, honestly, is meaningless to that individual living in this lifetime. And I say that with a strong and heavy heart, because to be incarnated and not even know what you did wrong or know what you did right in your previous life can lead to the same mistakes within your being. So when we start to, the reason a lot of individuals, they jump into the reincarnation stage, I'm not saying it's not true, because reincarnation does happen for certain individuals and certain things.
As certain punishments, as certain family punishments, as certain family curses. Because reincarnation, you don't want to be reincarnated.
Reincarnation for a lot of people within society like that idea, because they can't fathom, the idea of them not being no more, or them not being happy outside this reality no more. They can't fathom that, because for one, their whole desire throughout their whole life, the ones is they never. It's
on the parallel, the below parallel, the earthly, the physical. They can't fathom what happens outside your body, that your soul is no longer there. So we come up in our emotions and say, I'm just going to be reincarnated. How do you know?
Then you can say, you look just like my great-grandmother.
Well, that's called genetics.
You must be her. And they say, but this person grows up to be a totally different individual, and you don't really act like her, but you look like her.
Just because it's not her.
And a lot of times it's death and grief make us do a lot of things, make us think a lot of different ways, because we desire for that individual soul to be here with us all the time. We desire eternity with the ones we truly love.
So you'll have a baby that's coming along, I feel as though this is going to be my great-grandmother because I miss her so much. No,
that's not how it works.
It's not how it works.
It's not. If Hashem want to reincarnate someone, it doesn't have to be with any of your family.
And if Hashem would reincarnate anyone, we would have prophets here today. They would have definitely been reincarnated to keep the balance within this world. You know, we would have a lot more prophets doing prophecy right now. We're in the land of thirst. It is a desert out here. You know, we have a lot of religious folks, and they can't find a prophecy. If you put them in a bunch of room and just put it right there on the wall, they won't be able to find it.
That's because a lot of people are seeking, to stay on subject, a lot of people are seeking these beings that's outside of them, that's outside of Hashem, and they're getting their prophecy from the fallen ones.
Let's break that down.
And they're fulfilling what the fallen ones want them to do.
Let's break that down. They're getting these beings outside of Earth. Let's think about that for a moment. Beings. Those are what we call, the fallen, the rebellious, who are dwelling within the earth, because there was no more space for them in the Shemayim. And there is documentation, historical facts of, throughout all of our oral traditions of wars that happened in the Shemayim.
Oh, you about to go to that?
So, no, I was just breaking down what she was saying.
Yeah.
Because you just said a whole lot of high-level stuff real fast. And I want to really dig into that real quick so they can follow along. When we speak about certain things like that, all that stuff goes back to the very basics. The very basics. And what else was you saying in that same sentence?
In regards to
outside of the earth, the beings were, and it was something else. I just kind of lost track of that for a moment. But we'll touch back on it in a minute. But, we have beings that's here on this earth that are spirits. And these are those negative energies. And they look for a host. They look for a body. And if you were reincarnated, 9 times out of 10, it's not something you're just going to jump up and down and be happy about.
And they desire a body, because that's what they had in the beginning. I'm talking about the fallen children. So what they would do is, what they have done, they create a whole society. I'm talking about the whole world. A whole society in large, for the most part. Mm-hmm. They had created a system where we tune into it. And we had to plug into it from a child on up to adulthood, even to our death. And the system is their structured organization. You could call it a country, you could call it whatever. Everyone, for the most part, has a school that you go to and you get indoctrinized with what they want you to believe and to understand, so they can function within their society, within their architecture that they build, their hierarchy. You get what I'm saying with that? Mm-hmm. Within their hierarchy that they build, and that's what they desire. So they are plugging you into the matrix per se from a extremely young age.
So examine your thoughts. Once we learn to examine our thoughts and not be ashamed of them, because I look at the mind as a spiritual battlefield, and the sages, our ancestors, spoke about this battlefield in the spirit. They didn't really give a lot of details, but it's all there. It starts within the mind. It starts within your thoughts. You have a mind, and what does the mind do? It thinks. But within this mind, you have self-speak, as they like to call it in science. This self-speak can hear a ton of different voices from different influences. Remember, we spoke about the last episode, influencers, how dangerous they are. So you have the influencers, which is the outside speaking.
The true influencer is what? A spirit.
Exactly.
The true influencer is the spirit.
Yep.
You know,
that's the outside speaking in, and then you have the inside. The water comes on the inside that can shoot outward. So you have the outside going in, you have the inside going out to the next person. This can happen through media, so it happens through the radio, happens through TV, it happens through social media.
And if you notice the theme behind everything that you just named, music, radio, social media, they always want to go inside of your mind. They always want to go inside of your mind. They always want to attach something to the body to get inside the mind. You know, what does radio do? It puts it in your ear. What does the social media do? It puts it in your eyes and ears. You know, food, mouth. Everything wants to get inside of the being, the temple of your body.
And this is why we started off with the bullet points. We started off with like they only desire to talk about meaningless vanity topics that comes from some source of some form of media. Why? Darts within the mind. Starts there. What was outward being fed in? What are you feeding yourself every day? You know, constantly attempting to bring you down, to provoke you to negativity when you try to be on the upright spiritual vibration. You know, when you try to raise the vibration in the room, they don't want to speak about the names you speak about, because if it's not talking about sex, power, and murder, we'll be going for a story. You know, and under those things, we got fighting, we got cheating, we got social media, we got, you know, dancing, pop, lock, and drop it. We got all those type of things, all these challenges.
All through the airwaves. All through the airwaves.
And they do not like to praise anyone other than themselves. So even if you say a good quotable or post a good quotable with a lesson behind it, some of those folks, if they are religious or in a certain sector that you're in, they will just literally rip you off of your words that you went through, the Most High gave to you, and you gave him thanks and praise, and you shared it for the world, and then, or you shared it with a confidant, or a rabbi, or an elder, or you know, a pastor, and next thing you know, you're seeing your words verbatim being spoke about or critiqued, you know, and you're like, man, I went through this. You know, this revelation was given to a layman and is now taken.
And those things are done secretly.
And all this stuff
invisible.
starts, it is. And it all starts with the darts that's in the mind. The darts that's within the mind. And those darts, within those darts, that's where you get the battlefield, like we was just saying.
And what they did was brilliant, to be honest with you. They interacting all these different, you know, airwaves that they use the airwaves to just send out their spirits, you know, and then they no longer really have to do work because they have hosts of bodies everywhere. You know, if I open up my phone and go into one of the famous social media apps, whatever, I'm going to see all types of garbage. Garbage meaning nothing that really feeds my soul in a positive way.
But it's feeding your mind. That means it's loading up a army of darts.
Yep, it's draining my soul and it's consuming my mind.
To battle your soul. See, the mind is the crown chakra. It's part of your soul. Everyone has a chakra. When you see these little memes with these lights, these little dots, and they got different frequencies next to them, and they got different color frequencies next to them, they are identifying the soul as a whole. One chakra does not make up the whole soul. Every chakra is a gateway to your soul. Within those gateways to your soul, you have these spirits that try to transfer themselves into you. Now you're hearing their voices. Your self-speak is influenced directly from what you saw on social media or what you experienced in a friendship interaction or a relationship interaction. Now you're battling, your soul is battling those darts now, within that battle, you start to feel a certain way. Because now your thoughts are turn negative, and your soul is starting to get quieter and quiet as it goes along. You know, now you start to have an emotional change. Now you're angry.
And that's a physical characteristic that's being shown from the invisible attacks that you're having within your mind. You know, because everything starts from the invisible and then it's transferred into the physical, you know, into the visible. You know, so we have to be extremely careful of what we allow inside of us. And a lot of times we probably don't even think about the thoughts that we have within our mind.
Yep. See, you know, like cognitive behavioral therapy, they start with the thoughts, then they go to this thing that's both spiritual and physical, both abstract and concrete, and we call them feelings. Within feelings, we have desires. All these are all under the construct of emotions. Emotion touches both the thoughts and the physical. Because when you feel a certain way, a human being, a creature, an animal, they're going to do it. Unless they can stop it right there.
That's being controlled, the war within their mind.
So in order to stop it, you said,
defeat that spirit that you are battling with.
Go back.
That's why I say, you know, what's the demons that person have for? And all these little funny little sayings and stuff are not funny when you actually break down and unpack what's being said. You know, each individual, no matter who you are, go through battles from within. You know, and you can see it by what's given without, what's coming out of that individual. You know, a lot of times will tell you what type of battles that individual is going through. You know, because a person speaks, their mouth speaks from what is within the heart and within the mind. That's the only place it speaks from.
So the battlefield within the mind is very important. You know, when you get these different outward attacks that come into your crown chakra, some attacks may be in your stomach chakra area, you know, because now you're having physical pain in your stomach or on your back or on your legs or even in your throat. You know, all these chakras are portals or gates to your soul that you now are battling. And when you're battling them, it's going on up here. It's affecting up here, your thoughts, your mind, the crown of your soul. You know,
and to free yourself from that, you know, this is not really the episode you're talking about freeing yourself from that, but I do want to enter, you know, put it in there. You have to examine your thoughts and really see where those thoughts they seeded from. When I say seeded from, where was they birthed from? You know, and we really had to look at the things that we consume. When I say consume, I mean yes, what we eat, what we listen